Peace, family. We are now live. Welcome to another episode, Black Magic 363. Oh, man, we're going to have a good time tonight, family. I want y'all to get comfortable. As y'all can see, I'm back with Isis Wisdom. Isis Wisdom, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Indeed. I want everybody to get comfortable. Hit that like button. Tell your friends and family we're live. We're going to have an awesome show tonight. I'm going to get to a few commercials, and then we'll be right back. All right, family?
Welcome to the Sacred Tree. This is Stardust Jewelry for the collective. All of our pieces are spiritually downloaded, handcrafted, and created with the love and healing powers of our set. We pride ourselves on using nothing but the best crystals, 14 karat gold, and sterling silver to highlight the conductivity of this alchemical process. So many superpowers for us to tap into, and the crystals are here to help you. I always say whatever crystal you choose, it chooses you at the same time. It's a symbiotic relationship. So feel free to tap into thesacredtree.life, see what we have to offer. Rock.
It's the numerational session with King Simon. Text your full name and date of birth to 347-496-1022. That's 347-496-1022. And get my books on Amazon now. On Sunday, October 9th in Stone Mountain Village from 2 to 7 p.m. Papa Ashwa Kwesi and the Red Pillar will be in Stone Mountain. Get your tickets through Linktree/King Simon, the numero beta, or text now at 347-496-1022. Get your tickets now.
Hey there! Had a bad dream? I have dreams too. Some parts are scary and some parts are fun. Always remind yourself, it's only a dream and everything will be okay. I had a dream about being in a forest too. Check it out, my pet Petey was with me. Order your copy of Kayla Petey and the Forest on Amazon today.
Okay, family, so we are back. Listen, we're going to have a good show tonight. The name of the show tonight is American Godz. I seen a live you did, Isis, on your trip to Mexico, and I've been checking out some of your Instagram pics. I think you visited the museum, correct?
That's one of the places I visited. I also went to the actual pyramids. I went to the whole entire pyramid complex. Was like, whoa.
So listen, there's such a big movement. There's a lot of energy around in the so-called blacks in America claiming America again. I remember coming up in consciousness in the early 2000s. It was all about back to Africa, Africa this, Africa that. And I absolutely love the continent of Africa and everything it provides and the rich history and everything. But I remember it was just the Moors back then talking about we were indigenous. We have all types of movement now. We have FBA, ADOS. We have the brother, what's the brother name? I forget the brother, Dan Calloway. We got so many people. Yeah. We got so many people talking about how the blacks are indigenous. The blacks in America right now we're indigenous here and we've been here. So it's like there's so much energy surrounding this topic that I'm like, I got to talk to several people about this. So I want to start with, let's start with Isis Wisdom. Let's start, my sister. Let's start with, we're so used to Kemetic spirituality, the Kemetic gods, Kemetic goddesses, Isis, Osiris. What about the American gods? What can you tell me about the American gods that we may have been overlooking while we were studying Osiris and Isis?
Well, one of the things I want to say to you guys is that first and foremost, there was two Egypts. So you had the New Egypt, which is overseas. But the first Egypt was actually in the Americas. And many people do not know this. And I also want to point out as well that, you've heard the term, most people think it's a theory, but I can tell you from cosmic knowledge that it's a very real thing. This planet has been recreated 7 times. And so during the time period, during those 7 times that the planet had been created, Egypt was in different places on Kai. Okay? And so with Egypt being in a different place on Kai, you can begin to start researching old road maps where they were speaking about the very first Egypt. If you guys look at the Mississippi River is actually the first Nile River that took place. And we also, if you look at Memphis, Tennessee, this isn't the Memphis overseas is not the same as the Memphis in the States, but they put a lot of information out there for us to see that's been hidden in plain sight. And if you take the time out and you start studying the old maps, that Mississippi River, AKA the Nile River, And then the various pyramid complex, well, small complexes, but nonetheless, we have pyramids. We had mounds all throughout Utah, all throughout Tennessee, all throughout Arizona. Arizona is definitely one place I would recommend people to go check out, so you guys can see the old world there. It's very prevalent there. When you look at the actual, what appears to be mountains, and they're flat at the top, those are cut down trees from the old world. Those were the old crystal trees that used to grow from the old world. So look at it from this perspective. Egypt has been moving around. So when you look at some of the older maps, you're going to start to see that the one overseas, they call it the New Egypt. So what many people also don't know is that a lot of the pharaohs that they said that they were finding actually came from the Americas, and they weren't revealing that information. Okay, just like when they found the tombs here and the mummies here and the pyramids inside the temple, the Isis temple here in Arizona. You have an Osiris temple in Salt Lake City, and I know you heard about that 12,000-year-old mummy that is found at the bottom of the lake.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
12,000 years. 12,000 years old in the Americas. How long has these other people been here? 6,000 years, maybe 6,500 years they've been here. So if they've been here for 6,500 years, then what is this mummy that they found here that's 12,000 years old? What is that? Atlantis was also here. So you guys got to understand that during the time period when the plants were being recreated, a lot of things were also being moved around constantly. And you also have to remember that back in the day, the old maps showed the United States, the states being listed as countries at one point in time. Okay, so each state, the governor himself was actually the president of that actual particular country. So I'm talking about taking it way back, way back, way back. So we have that in our bloodline. A lot of us have ancient Egyptian in our bloodline. It's just not talked about because we've been programmed to think that that is something that is far away from us. That is something that we're not possibly a part of because of their advanced technology and things like that. We couldn't possibly associate ourselves with that type of greatness. But everywhere you look, they can't hide it. You can't hide it. It's like pyramids everywhere, hieroglyphs are written everywhere in their particular respective languages, but there are hieroglyphs like down there in Mexico City. I saw they have hieroglyphs there. Okay, but their hieroglyphs look a lot different than the ones that you see in ancient Egyptian. What you're gonna realize is that a lot of those pyramid complexes were mimicking that particular Egypt. They dedicated, I believe, the Pyramid of the Sun. They dedicated that pyramid to Tahuti, which, if you know anything about Tahuti is the heart of Ra. They dedicated that pyramid to Ra, and they dedicated that pyramid to Horus. So I'm going to talk to you about a wonderful experience I actually had, when I was there, and I actually got a response. I was touching one of the pyramids. I was touching the Pyramid of the Sun because the way they got it set up, they don't let you go up and climb at the top of the pyramids anymore. They said that they're not doing that because of COVID, right? But I'm like, what the hell does COVID got to do with somebody climbing up the top of that pyramid when you're outside?
You know what I'm saying?
What are you talking about? So I asked them, I said, what the hell is going on with that? And so I had got a download, and what I was told was that the reason why they won't let anybody climb the top of the pyramids is because a lot of the indigenous there was doing massive meditations. And the mass meditations that they were doing, like when the whole thing went down over in Australia, and about 60% of Australia was on fire. What most people don't know is that the indigenous of Australia called down to the indigenous here in Mexico City. The indigenous in Mexico City started reaching out to all the indigenous tribes all throughout the Americas. And they said that we're going to go ahead and we're going to meditate. So they meditated. This happened 3 years ago. They went to the top of the pyramids and they all started meditating for the rain to come over Australia.
Wow.
The indigenous already went to the Australian government and had told them, we can make it rain. We have the power to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And the Australian government, of course, is like, I don't see how you're going to be able to put out this fire, blah, 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 blah. And so that's when the phone call was made and all these things took place. And the people were singing. They were dancing. They were drumming. And they were calling on that rain god, okay? They was calling on that rain god. And lo and behold, what happened? Rain came over Australia. And it rained for a hell of days, and all that fire got put out in Australia. That kind of power right there sent a message about how powerful we are, which is why we're the most hated around the world. Okay, but we're also the most favored by the Most High. Our power comes from the Most High. So we just need to understand who we are and understand that the times are changing because the ancestors are now starting to jump into their descendants. And so that whole thing, when you said it seems like there's a big movement that's taking place, you're damn right it's taking place, because it's time for them to give that shit up there in the United States. It's got to go. Those who have been holding on to it for a long period of time, it's time for them to release it. They know that their time is up. They know they only have very limited time before Nemesis starts burning everybody up. Because right now, that sun that y'all dealing with in the Americas right now, it's a different type of sun.
You said Nemesis? That's the name? Nemesis?
Nemesis is over the Americas right now.
Could you elaborate on that?
It's the sun, the black sun. When you look at the sun, you'll notice that the sun looks white. Have you noticed how you see the sun white? Okay, that sun is Nemesis, because Nemesis is about to bring judgment down on America, a serious judgment. And not just America, and different parts of the world, judgment is coming. Now, I have some videos and things like that I'll be putting up on my channel where you see two individuals that ain't us standing side by side to each other, and a spontaneous combusted on the spot inside of a convenience store. And I've been telling people about Nemesis, and I've been telling people how he's going to start bringing the punishment down. I said, you guys thought I was playing. They've been covering up the stories about at least 100,000 people over in Europe who died from the heat. They're covering up the stories of all the people that are dying in the heat in the Americas. They can't stand the heat. I got people hitting me up in Kentucky talking about how they're calling in to the air conditioning companies because it's too damn hot. The air conditioning isn't working for them. My son, who's in California, received to tell me the whole time he was up there visiting, he said, literally, California, where he's at, clear skies. He said, Mom, that sun is burning so hot that nobody's outside now. Nobody's outside because of the heat. So we need to pay attention to the times that we're living in. Nature is going to be the very thing that brings us deliverance.
Ain't that something? You know, I love when I hear individuals like yourself say things like that, as far as the sun and this new sun and it being white, because some things aren't in the books. Like, we always look to books for information, but sometimes we have to use our intuition. I remember driving in Brooklyn about a year and a half ago. I called a brother. I hope he's watching. I called a brother named Alkebalon 44. I said, yo, you notice the sun is white? Why is the sun? Didn't that shit used to be yellow? I was like, yo, the light is like a bright white. I'm like, it's like white. And he was like, he was just like, I'm gonna look into it. But I remember recognizing that and feeling that intuitively. So when you say things like that, I love it, because it's confirmation that I ain't bugging out.
No, you're not.
What I want to ask you, in terms of us having the DNA of Egypt within us, and that's why it resonates with us, would you say, when you talked about the hieroglyphs, because we have that in our DNA, do you think that's why we started doing graffiti on the walls, because it's in us, and that's like an continuation for what we did in ancient times?
That is correct, and also it's one of the main reasons why we also don't like to speak the English language, so they created what you call Ebonics, the Ebonics dictionary. We know by spirit that this is a language that we should not be speaking. If anybody does their research, they will realize that the English language is the #1 satanic language in the world. So we, because we're connected to Earth and we're connected to the Most High, we know when something doesn't feel right. It might be on a subconscious level, but we begin to start adapting to our environment. So what we do is you start creating another language system, because at one point in time of day, we only communicated via telepathy. Okay, the people, the Tehuacans down there, and the Aztecs and the Olmecs, which was the most advanced society in Mexico when it was in its prime, they were utilizing signs, symbols, hand gestures, okay, facial expressions. That was their way of communication. So we also had to take into consideration, you know, when you start wanting to go back further and further and further, the English language itself is a limited language. So if you're trying to get deeper information, you're not going to, there's not even terms, there's not even English language terms to define how vast this thing really is.
Right.
Okay. And they tell you, look, when you talk to them, you say, okay, what was your name? And then they give you this long ass pronunciation. And you're like, seriously, what am I supposed to do with that? They's like, that's exactly the reason why we don't even bother to go down that road, because we know you don't have the ability to either pronounce the language because you never heard the language before, or it's so advanced that we're just going to rock with you with frequencies and tones and symbols and things like that. So that was the main way that they used to communicate. This whole thing of us talking is very primitive. And we are going to be returning back to the way we used to communicate, which is via telepathy. We are headed back in that direction now.
Indeed. I noticed that picking up, people being able to call you when you're thinking about them. I've noticed things like that picking up. Let me, in terms of the Olmecs, I've heard before that the Olmec heads that we see, these huge heads, like, you know how you said the trees, that some of the trees, they cut off the top. It was like a crystal tree at one time. Some people say that the Olmec heads, those were really people, and I guess they turned to stone. They're not like statues; those are real people at one time. And I guess the person turned to stone or something like that. But that was like an actual person at one time. Have you ever heard of that?
I never heard of that, and not even when I was down there, I didn't hear any tour guides ever mention anything like that. I've never heard that before. What they did mention was how technologically advanced they were. They talked about their system and how their system wasn't ran. Their governing system was a shaman. And so that was the guy that everybody listened to, because the shaman would be able to predict the weather. The shaman would be able to predict the drought. So that way they would go ahead and be able to do the necessary things so they wouldn't go into a drought. The shaman was the one who did the spiritual work and so forth and so on, and gave the guidance to the village or the communities and so forth and so on. The gods were also believed, that the shamans were also believed to be gods. And I asked the tourist guide, I said, you do realize, I said that the shamans were believed to be gods. He said, yes. And he smiled at me because he was like, damn, I didn't know you knew about that. And I said to him, I said, well, not only am I aware about that, I said, I'm also aware that a lot of the shamans in Mexico right now are gods. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, people tend to want to think always mythical when you start talking about the gods. Okay. When the truth of the matter is that you guys have no idea how many of you that are walking around right now that are actual gods. But you've been stripped of your cosmic knowledge. You've been stripped of your culture. You've been stripped of these different things that would have helped you get on the correct path to where you're supposed to be, so you could begin to know who you are. But because we didn't have that living in the United States of America, and they worked very hard to make sure that we were stripped. So we don't come together and think on a collective level that we can change this shit, because we don't realize how powerful we really are. We don't. And I want to say to everybody on this live right now, and you guys is probably going to trip out when I say this, but I'm only saying this based upon what I've discovered recently. And that is, it is imperative that when you get into these spaces that you always remain grounded. Because what happens is that if you're not grounded, you can get yourself caught up in those other realms, and you can be deceived very easily in that realm if you're not grounded. So that whole trip that I took to Mexico City, when I booked all those different events to take place, I didn't even realize until probably the third day. I realized right after we went to the pyramids. I said, this was the most grounding experience I ever had in my life, because of all the phenomena and stuff like that was taking place when I was there. You have to remain grounded in this thing. So when I say remain grounded, I need you guys to understand, so above, so below. If you got gods above, you got gods below.
What you said, some of us are gods. What distinguishes a god from a regular human being down here in this realm?
First of all, their capabilities and their powers is one. Their wisdom is two. Me and you had a conversation about you. Remember?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And so if you're on the right path, if you're doing your meditations, if you're doing the necessary things to get different upgrades, because there is ways that you can also do upgrades to get to other levels, then you become completely what we call self-aware. Okay. And that's one of the things I teach in my program is about that. So once that happens, like, you could be a walking God and not know you're a walking God, and you just don't know. Because when you come here, you do a soul contract, and the first thing that they remove from you is your memory, so you don't remember who you are.
Who's they? Who's they?
Anybody that comes on, anybody that's born on the Kai or the planet Earth. When you come here, you must understand that this is a school of karma. When you come here to work out your karma for what you did when you were someplace else. That's why you're here. So when you're working out those different things, what I'm trying to get you guys to understand is that there are certain upgrades and certain initiations that one must go through to get to certain states of awareness. Most people don't know that. People say, oh, I'm a walking God today. Yeah, that might be true. But let me ask you a question. What type of elevations, what type of meditations did you do? What type of training did you get done? You know, how did you find this information out? How did you tap into that? Do you know how to tap into that particular power, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? If you don't know how to do these things, then you're not going to be able to get to where you got to go. So the ancient Egyptian mystery schools taught these things. Mm-hmm. Okay? They taught these things in terms of your upgrades and things that you had to do to elevate, because we understood that you are also human, which means that you are subject to the rules of Earth. Okay? Mm-hmm. What I came to really appreciate is the human experience. And what I came to appreciate is how powerful the Most High has actually made all of us humans. Because number one, we have something that they don't have out there. Number one, we have the ability to have free will. I told people, I said, you angelic? I said, when you leave from here, you're going to return back to where you came from. I said, angels don't have free will. They also do not have the power to create. So you're here on planet Earth and you were given two abilities: the choice of free will and your ability to create as the creator. We have the right to exercise those things. Out there, it's a different set of rules. The game is played different. The laws are different. If a God gets caught moving against someone's free will, the penalty behind that is very severe in that realm. Where here, you're just going to get karma for it. Okay? So the rules are different. So I've come to really appreciate the human experience and all this. During my journey, there was something that it was crazy how that revelation came to me, because a lot of revelations came to me when I was there. And I think that one of the most important things was that I'm starting to now find out what I'm tied to and what I'm connected to. Prior to me coming down there, I did what we call a ancient ancestral investigation. I wanted to find out who my first wing ancient ancestors were. Okay, I knew who I knew who the immediate bloodline ancestors are, but I wanted to find out more information about the tribes and so forth and so on. And this is when I found out that I had Arawic in me. Arawic tribe is Haiti, which would make sense as far as my connection to Papa Legba, because I talk to Legba all the time. I couldn't understand what that was. I'm like, why do I have this affinity for you? Okay, well, now that makes sense. Okay, even though I'm Ifa, I still have an affinity for the Voodoo pantheon. Okay. Finding out that I have Aztec in me, finding out that I had Inca, finding out that I had Mayan in me, finding out that I had Apache in the bloodline, finding these things out. So then I started doing deeper research, because I started finding out how these tribes, they were saying they don't know where they came from. So when we went to the Tehakatans down at that complex down there, I asked them, I said, where did these people come from? They literally told me, every single person I've talked to down there has said the exact same thing. We don't know where they came from, and we don't know where the Aztecs came from. They said, we believe that the Aztecs came further north, which would be Turtle Island, and came in and invaded the Tehakatans and took them over, reclassified them, and called them that name, because they really didn't even know what to classify them as, right? The Aztecs took over, and they ruled for several thousand years. Then came the Spaniards. The Spaniards came over, and then they took over along with the Moorish conquistadors. This needs to be talked about. Okay? You had the Spanish conquistadors, and you had the Moorish conquistadors that came in and assisted in the slaughter of the indigenous peoples of Mexico. So when you look at the Mexicans, they are a combination of, we say Mongol, because they have Asian in them. You see a lot of the Asians down here in Mexico, they have that in them. You have Spaniard in them, and then you also have, quote unquote, the black or the indigenous. They're a combination of all three. For that reason, I tell people, I say, well, when you look at it from a bloodline perspective, I said, they're our brothers and sisters. I can't be on some old, well, nah, I'm not going to just pretend like they not. I can't do that because now I done went down and seen some shit. And see, it's one thing for you to hear someone speaking. It's another thing for you to take yourself somewhere and you got to sit down and you got to see it. And you get to see people who look just like you, same complexion as you, living a total different culture. So then it changed your whole perspective about what you thought. See, the difference between the United States and Mexico is Mexico preserved the culture. So if you want to know more about your history, because you probably had that in your bloodline, I would strongly suggest that you guys travel down to Mexico and go look at all the pyramids that are down there, all the temples that are down there. Mm. And there are some temples that are structured like pyramids, but they're not pyramids, they're actual temples. So it's also important that we know the difference between the pyramids and the temples. Mm. Okay, and what they were utilized for. Mm. Go ahead.
I remember one time, and I hate misquoting people, but I'm gonna try to say it as much as he said. I remember one time Bobby Hemmett, when you're talking about bloodlines, and he was talking about the black man and woman in America, and he was saying how one of the reasons why we stand out from the rest of the black people in the diaspora is because we got so many different bloodlines in us, and we're so mixed. We done mixed with damn near everything, so that creates basically a new nigga. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you
universal divine being. You are what you call a universal divine being, and you have all of the information and knowledge of your ancestors stored within your body. Mm-hmm. From all tribes.
From all tribes. That's powerful. That's powerful. So, in terms of in terms of astral traveling, and in terms of, when we dealing with, we got so many people that this is the age of awakening. So many people are awakening. So many people are coming on the internet with knowledge. There's so many people are saying somewhat different things from other people. And people are saying, I travel the astral realm, or I travel the quantum field, or whatever. And they're coming back with information that may be different from another person's information. My question to you is the astral realm subjective? Is it just a projection of your subconscious? So it's not the astral realm, it's your astral realm, because everybody's astral realm is different based on where you're at subconsciously or mentally?
That's part of it, but also you have to take in consideration timelines. That's something that we don't think about either. The timelines of when these things took place, because they can be picking up a story or a particular incident or whatever have you during a particular timeline. Okay, and that really did take place. Right. Okay, but I need you to understand the past, the present, and the future is going on at the same time. And so you're living different realities all at the same time. And you also have to remember, and I spoke about this before, I'm bringing out knowledge that most people don't know when I speak about the higher aspects. The higher aspects are the many different reincarnated versions of yourself. And so a good example of you seeing this displayed was in that Marvel movie that just came out. That I talked about that with the Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange. Right. Gave a very clear depiction of exactly what I'm talking about. So let's say you got 400 different versions of who you are, which you probably do, right? And you are who you are here, but then if you're in Sirius, you're this over here, and if you're in this over on this star system over there, you're this person over there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I need you guys to kind of rock with me when I tell you I'm speaking from a multidimensional perspective. Right. Okay. What I teach people is how to tap in to get in touch with all those different aspects of yourself, because yourself will begin to start teaching you about you. And there's no journey like the journey of self-discovery. And there's no journey like the higher versions of you teaching you things so you can learn things. That's why I say to people, you got to go within. But it was never described to the people, what does it mean to go within? To go within means that you go within to meditation to seek your answers. And then you'll start getting this other knowledge that you don't see written in the books. That's why it seems foreign to most people. When they look at me and they think that I'm crazy. And I tell people all the time, before that movie even came out, if you go back and you listen to my earlier lives, before that movie even came out, I told y'all. I was giving you all step-by-step instructions of what you need to do in order to do that. And then what did they do? They put a flat-out little depiction of what I was saying when the Scarlet Witch was meditating and going into the damn multiverse and the interactions that she was having as a Scarlet Witch. But then I'm like, but I told y'all this 2 years ago.
Facts.
Or when I talked about the children and who they are and how powerful they are, and here comes a new Thor movie out, and then you're seeing them kick ass in the damn movie. So either I'm crazy or I'm tapped into something that's giving me information and knowledge. Which is it?
Were you born spiritually sensitive, or is this something you
I believe so, because I've been communicating to the dead since I was 5. Told my parents I came from Sirius. You couldn't tell me nothing about that. My dad would tell you to this day. I told him, I said, I come from the Sirius star system. I come from right there. Showed him everything. And my dad used to trip on me about that. He'll tell you to this day. I used to tell him all that when I was a kid, all the time. I come from Sirius. And then lo and behold, I find out I come from Sirius X.
Wow.
You know, it's an inner knowing. And it also needs to be understood. And I think this is going to be a really interesting piece for me to connect for you guys. When we went to the Anthropology Museum down there, right? We got this tour guide. And that was crazy, even how we got him, because the whole story, how that first trip got messed up, and then we just said we're going to go on our own, and then here's a damn tour guide right there, the only one there talking about I'm a tour guide. I'm like, what? So I end up breaking him off. We go up in there, and he starts breaking a lot of stuff down about the whole area. And as he's talking, and I'm seeing the pieces and things like that, it was some crazy stuff, because we were literally seeing the same beings that are actually in the pictures that we took when we went to the springs. We went to the hot springs in Mexico City. And there's mountains in the background. You can actually see giant faces of giants in the background. Like, this shit is crazy. But nonetheless, what we noticed is that there was apparitions in the pictures. So I was like, so I looked and I said, what the hell is this in this picture? So I'm showing my peoples, they're looking at it, they said, what the hell? I said, is that a ship? What the hell is that? This triangular thing was just sitting in the picture. Tripped us out, right? So then I'm going through the pictures, I'm scrolling through the pictures, and I'm seeing these apparitions of these different beings in the pictures. And I'm like, okay, what the hell is going on? So when we get to Anthropology Museum, he starts taking us to see these beings. We didn't even know that. So we're looking. I said, yo, this is the same shit so we're pulling out the phone and showing him the phone. I said, look at this shit. This is what we saw when we was at the springs. So little did we know that they were the ancestors, okay? And the gods, because you got to remember, you got gods that are part of your bloodline too, were communicating to us the entire time when we were on that trip.
Amazing.
It was so that whole trip was so magical, fam, that I'll never forget that for the rest of my life. It changed me internally. It changed me. It gave me a whole different perspective. And I literally heard my ancestors say when I was walking past that, when I was walking on the side of that sun pyramid, I literally heard them say, we're happy that you're here. This is a part of your history. Connect to it. And I had goosebumps all on my arms. And my people was like, why the hell you got goosebumps on your arm? I said, because they're talking to me right now. At this point, I'm walking to the front of the pyramid, and I go, and they got the pyramid blocked off, but they had this one section where they let you actually put your hands on the pyramid. Because I said, I got to touch it. I just have to touch it. I have to, right? And when I went to go touch the pyramid, that shit was so deep. I shot energy up the pyramid, purposely shot energy up the pyramid. Bro, I got a response from the pyramid. It shot the energy back down and hit me. And I was like, oh shit. I said, you feel that? She was like, yeah. I said, I just got a response.
What response you got?
First eye, because if the first eye's open, you have the ability to see the unseen. Horus took a staff and said, boom, and shot the energy back down to me to acknowledge me, to let me know I heard you.
Wow.
So I was like, oh shit. So then I go to the pyramid of the moon. And when you're walking towards, when you go in the direction towards the actual pyramid of the moon, you're gonna feel an energetic shift immediately. So I knew at that point, I said, okay, I just walked in. I'm not even on Earth right now. I picked up on that immediately. I said, I literally went through a portal. Me and my people was like, yeah, we definitely went through a portal. We definitely did that. And so I'm like, just feeling the energy out. And I literally said to them, I said, I'm picking up Anunnaki energy here. There's Anunnakis. Anunnakis was over here. I go to touch the pyramid of the moon. I'm feeling the energy. And I'm getting response from that pyramid as well. And I'm like, there were Anunnakis here. I said, these people weren't from here. These people came from someplace else. So I started getting downloads kind of heavy. I went into meditation and I began to start asking my first one ancient indigenous ancestors more information about that pyramid because I wanted to know why I was feeling the way that I was feeling. And they had told me, they said, you were correct when you said that you picked up on the Anunnaki energy. And I said, well, they said that the people don't know where they came from. They said that is correct, but they came from all different star systems across the galaxy. So the Aztecs came from the star systems. The Tehuacans came from the star systems. A lot of us came from different star systems, which is the reason why that technology that they utilize, when you look at the tools that they said they utilized to build these pyramids, you're going to look at this shit and be like, there's no way. There's no, you ain't going to make me believe this shit. Ain't no way in the hell, especially when you start talking about the height of these beings. Okay, let's just say that they weren't no taller than, let's say, 4 feet tall. 5 feet was considered tall back in the day. So these beings were very short.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that this big ass pyramid of the sun, this huge ass pyramid of the sun was built with these little tools? How, Sway? How? And every single temple that they put up around these pyramids are calendars. So they studied the months, they studied the stars. Everything was put up strategically according to the sun cycles of that time. So I was like thinking about the mind of these people at that time. This is the stock that we come from. We come from that. We know, we innately know how to do this shit. We are builders. We know how to do this. Yeah. It's been within us for a long period of time. And that's why I've been on a quest to find out more information. I'm going to be doing a lot more, like I'm going to be going down to Belize. I'm going to be spending time down there in Belize because there's some stuff there that I'm going to check out and tap into down there. I'm going to be traveling to Tulum. They got a huge pyramid in Tulum that I want to go check out where the Incas are. I'm being pulled in that direction to come see them. You know what I'm saying? Because the Incas are also part of my bloodline. So I'm being pulled to go see the Incas. You know what I'm saying? To see what messages and things like that they have. But my goal is simple, and that is to help our people to be able to connect to their past. So that way they'll understand where they're going in their future.
Right. Indeed.
You know what I'm saying? But you guys have got to, I'm like, yo, it's cool to go up to the New Egypt. I'm not knocking it. But when it comes to you wanting to know more about you, you need to travel all throughout the Americas because this is where you're from. This is where you're born. This is where your ancestry is. And we're cosmic as hell. Period.
What do you think about crop circles? Do you think there's some powerful messages behind them? Are they a hoax? What's your thoughts on that?
It's 50-50.
50-50? It's
50-50. You have people out there that are, okay, we're going to send this message out. You have people in the government that purposely send that stuff out for people to go and do certain things. That's one. But they do get communication for certain things as well. The thing is that you got to figure out who are they communicating to. Okay, so 50. So I say 50% is false and 50% is true when it comes to those.
This new sun that you talk about, Nemesis, I know that has a lot of people curious. The light that comes from Nemesis is what star system is it? Is this coming from a particular star system that
Nemesis is the other side of Ra?
It's just the other side of Ra.
It's the other side of Ra. You got to remember, we live in a planet of duality. What does that mean? You have a shadow side, and then you have a light side. That's the shadow side of Ra. It's much more stern. And they do call him the destroyer. And he is here. And that great solar flash is going to take place in this lifetime. That is a very real thing. But right now, a lot of people are being what we call irradiated off the planet at this time. Okay, so just pay attention to that. They're putting it out there themselves. One of my people told me that they went to a conference out in Sedona, and they said that there was only 2 indigenous people in the whole damn conference, right? And she said, man, I was amazed at what I was being told, because literally these people were sitting up there having a conversation, said, we're not going to be here much longer. We're going to be extinct soon. And they were just sitting up there talking about it like on some regular, like, well, I guess this is the end. This is the fate that we're going to have to face at some point in time in the near future. But she said that she was hearing her and dude was tripping, like, what the hell's going on right now? Are these folks really just sitting up here on some, we know that we're getting ready to leave from here type stuff? So they know.
Wow. Damn, they was just admitting it right in the open, huh?
Yeah, they're talking about it out in the open. And this is the reason why you see the turn up so heavy. The turn up is heavy because they know that their time is up. A lot of them are trying to fight to get off planet Kai. It's not going to happen. They don't have access to the cheat codes to be able to do it. They're here. Any modeling ET forces that are on this planet at this time, it's a wrap.
Their days is over.
Them days are over and they know it. That's why they keep coming up with these different things. I can't say the word, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I know exactly.
They're different things. You know what I'm saying? To get at people as quickly as they possibly can. But every single time they try it never pans out the way that they'd hope. And the time is getting further and further away from them now.
Do the ETs influence who's the American president? Like, do they decide?
Absolutely. And if I told you the real deal on who's behind that, your jaw would drop to the floor. But due to the fact that I'm on here, I can't say it. I want to say it. I want to say it so bad, but I can't. You know what I'm saying? But it would shock you. It would literally blow your wig back. Well, here's what I'll tell you. I'll give you some hints.
Please.
You need to start doing your research about certain invasions that took place and what races were invaded on planet Kai back in the day. You also need to start researching more about Atlantis and the beings that were there, because what you're going to start finding out is that there are beings that have been on this planet for a very long time, and they have always been controlling the presidency for a very long period of time. And so I'm just going to say that piece right there. What we're dealing with is something that's been on this planet for a long damn time. And always remember this. They can only do what they get permission to do.
Permission from who? Come on.
This told you I ain't going to tell you.
Oh.
But I'm trying to give you hints.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give you some hints. So what I'm saying is, it don't look like them.
Yeah. I knew you was going in that direction.
That's what I was trying to say.
I knew you was going.
Don't look like them. I can assure you, don't look like them.
I knew you was going in that direction.
Sometimes things are put in place for a reason, to bring about a certain outcome for a specific type of people, because maybe these specific types of people that were on the planet, maybe they became arrogant at one point in time and really messed some shit up and really did some serious damage. And maybe the people have been living out their karma for a long period of time. And maybe it was stated that the offspring also had to live out that karma for a certain period of time, until such time when that sentence has been served.
Do you think more people are going to be getting, like, is this the era of visitations? Is this the era where more and more people are going to get visitations from ET? Because I guess the quarantine.
I think when it comes to us, and I'm going to speak on us, we need to come to the self-realization that we are extraterrestrials. Let me start there.
Oh, yes.
Okay, let me just start there. There's no spookism here with this. Okay, there's no spookism. I get visited by ETs every day. Okay, I'm talking to one right now. I'm talking to you right now. You're an extraterrestrial. Okay. If I go in and I start looking at your cosmic records and shit, if I go in and I start looking at your cosmic ancestry that ties you back to these lands, you're an offspring of that, so you're an ET. So I need people not to kind of remove the spookism out of it. And I'll say to you this, because a lot of you guys still don't know who you are and what you're connected to, I will let you know that you have courts and councils that are tied to you. You have gods that are actually in your bloodline that you could call upon to assist you or guide you or give you some information that is tied to you. Okay? So when it comes to ETs, when you say visitations, I'm not into what they're into. For them, I can see them while they're doing the oohs and the ahs and the wees and the oohs. I get it for them. But when it comes to us, this is something that we're naturally connected to. So if you want to get visited, just go into meditation. And you're going to get your visitations. Meditate with your courts. And you're going to get the visitations that you're looking for, because they're going to come. Your star family is going to come to you. They're going to talk to you. They're going to school you. They're going to remind you of things that you forgot about yourself in the whole nine. So my viewpoint on that is probably different than how the average person will look at that when we say visitation. So what I'll say is this: Are you going to start getting contacted more by your star family? Absolutely. Absolutely. But just make sure that it's nothing external of you, and understand that it's something that's internal of you. Okay? That's it. You start getting into the whole spookism thing and dealing with them cats out there that's doing this other stuff. See, them people, they have a destiny that they have to fulfill. And so, yes, those beings that are here on Kai, are they going to show themselves? Absolutely. But the ones that are going to show themselves are going to play the game like they're benevolent when they're not. Okay, that needs to be understood, because these beings been on the planet for a long time, causing havoc on this planet for a long period of time. So they're going to come off as, I'm your friend, I'm looking out for you because of this and this, that, and the third. And pay attention to how they look when they bring them out. Indeed. Okay, pay attention to how they look when they bring them out.
You know, so we talked about the sun nemesis, and the light being different, this white light. Do we have a different moon right now? Is it a different light coming off the moon for those who be outside at nighttime, or is it the
moon? The thing of it is that the current moon that we have right now isn't even considered to be the real moon. Okay, we have about 4 or 5 moons that are surrounding Earth that we weren't ever told about. This particular moon that we have right now is a built construct. There was a movie that they put out, I want to say about 2 years ago, where they really put the shit all the way out there. I couldn't believe that they put this shit out there the way they did, but they put it out there. And I'm going to think about the movie and what it's called, so you guys can come check it out. But basically what it showed is that the moon was inside what appeared to be a Dyson sphere. Okay. And basically what happened was it was total and 100% consciousness. It was 100% consciousness. The moon was 100% consciousness, and it had different chambers and things like that inside the moon. But a moon is a built construct. Okay, that was created by some extraterrestrials, and it was utilized for nefarious purposes. Now that moon has been taken over by the GF, and so it's no longer being used for nefarious purposes. But the energy that we're getting off this moon is still the same energy off that. It's still the same energy. It's still the same. I even asked, I said, well, why don't y'all just deconstruct it? Because it'll destroy the planet.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So some of these people we see in power, are they like I've heard people say like Putin, like they immortal, like they don't even die, something like that. Like, you ever heard of like certain people in this realm? They like, I remember this is funny, but I think it was Mike Tyson. He had a picture from his fight when he first started fighting, and it was a guy in the audience that looked just like a guy that's on that's on the internet, a famous guy that's on the internet now. So people like, yo, these people are in like different timelines, and the same face keeps popping up in different timelines. Do you think that's something that's common?
Very common if you are on your stuff. Let me explain something to y'all. You have a body in every dimension. If you knew this knowledge and you knew how to get to that body in the other dimension, here's what happens. This happens with the Godz. They do it a lot, where you hear about these battles that took place and so forth and so on. And then you heard about some being getting killed or what have you. And then, well, I'm not understanding if the being got killed, how is the being still relevant today? Oh, the being just went to another dimension and got into another body and then came back. Because it understood that it had a body in every dimension. Just like the Godz, they have what you call physical avatars on Earth. If they wanted to return, and I did a live last year called The Return of the Godz. You need to check that out. But they've been trying to find the Godz. They already knew what time it was. They knew the Godz were returning back because they knew that the Godz had physical avatars here on Earth to return back. And they are here.
Do you think
and they're walking in human form. And I'm letting you guys know right now, it's about to be some shit in a minute.
Do you think the Godz, when they incarnate down here in physical form, certain entities recognize like, oh shit, he just incarnated in New York, and this is why they end up having traumatic childhoods, because they get attacked heavily very early, because I guess some entity could see that their light is that bright, so they try to stop them at an early age? Do you think that happens? Like Michael Jackson.
It varies. Let me just say this one thing: it varies. You can have a bad childhood because of karma. You can be dealing with the repercussions from your past life, dealing with the bullshit in this lifetime that you got to clean up. The source will tell you straight up that energy has to balance itself out. That's one way that happens. Another way that can happen is if a person is born as a god, and there are a lot of born gods right now that don't have any idea that they're gods. They don't have any idea. They're just living their regular life and they're doing their thing or what have you. Some of them may never know that's even what they are. The only way they're going to come after you is that they feel as though that you're a threat. This is how this works. If you're in the know, then it's going to become a problem. If you have access to certain key codes, then it's going to be a problem. So for an example, there has been children, I've had parents blow my phone up. My child is having nightmares, screaming, this, that, and the third. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm always going to take it to the ground level first. Let's start from the ground level, start on some 3D shit to see what's going on with the child. Make sure ain't nothing going on where the child ain't being abused and he's just having nightmares. But I got to start there first before I do with anything in the higher realms. So once I start ruling these things out and I'm not getting no resolution there, then I'm going to go into the higher realms and say, okay, what the hell's going on with this child? Oh, well, this child's being attacked by archons. Why? Well, the child has certain key codes to get off Kai. So what they're doing is they're surrounding this child right now, and they're planning on killing this child because they need access to the key codes. So it really depends on the type of being that you are. It depends on what you're carrying, what you're holding, that you don't even know you're holding. See, people need to understand that first and foremost, in order for you to even travel to different star systems and galaxies, you must have key codes. They're like an access pass that allows you to get in. Atlantis itself is a realm that is on Kai, that is at the bottom of the ocean. There's two ways you can get to Atlantis. You can get there physically if you know the key codes to get there and you know exactly the location to get there. You can get there physically, or you can get there through meditation, but you still have to have the key codes built within you. Okay? So like, for instance, I had a dream 2 years ago that I went to go see my father, Shango, because I'm initiated to Shango. I went to go see my father in Shango. Literally, I got in my Merkaba, put a coordinates in. I didn't even know I knew how to do this shit. That's how crazy it was. I put the coordinates in. Next thing you know, shoom, I'm dreaming. I'm in a dream state, but I'm taking off. I didn't know at the time that I was going to Zalanthiya. I just remember the size of this planet. And let me tell you guys something. It's beyond your imagination big. I can't even begin to describe what I saw as far as the size of this planet. But nonetheless, the Merkaba was taking me to Zalanthiya and took me to my father's kingdom because he's the ruler of Zalanthiya. And there was nothing but like these large gods, and they had spears and different types of technology, breastplates, the hats, the whole nine, and their faces were cold. Their faces were like strong and chiseled, the whole nine, just like my father, how my father looked. And I remember, and they're very tall beings. And I remember I was flying in, and the guards had saw me, and they kneeled because my father's a king and the ruler. I'm the princess, all right? So I'm going in. They take me to my parents. They take me to go see where my parents are. And this shit was tripping me the hell out because I didn't understand why I was looking at what I was looking at. I didn't get it. I was like, why is she here? Oh, that's mother? Okay, because I was saying mother to her, but I was just like, this is throwing me off right now. But I'm going to get back to that later. But nonetheless, I was talking to her like I knew she was my mother. Because I was saying, mother, she sprinkled some stardust over me, and then I got bigger. And I was talking to Dad, and I said, I'm home. And he says, how do you like Earth? I said, I can't stand it here. I can't stand it there. I said, the people are mean. I said, the people are mean. They're self-entitled. They're disrespectful. I said, I don't want to be there anymore. Can I stay here with you guys? Now, you know, you already committed to this contract and you committed to coming to Kai. And he talks with this dark voice, like it's real, like I can't explain it, but it's like thunderous almost. But that's what I'm hearing when he's speaking to me. And I'm like, I was begging them to please not let me go. I chilled there for a little bit, but I was literally begging them to please not send me back to Kai. I didn't want to come back there.
Wow.
I was cool with being where I was. I was home. I was around family. And seeing how technologically advanced it was at the time, this was 2 years ago. Shango told me recently that it's even more technologically advanced now than it was when I was there 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of tripped me out. So that experience of me traveling to a different star system gave me some insight. And then it was explained to me that in order for you to travel to these different star systems, you have to have access codes to be able to get there. So the stuff is in your DNA. You have coding in your DNA that will allow you to get access to certain things that certain beings don't have access to. So if you want to know why they're holding on to us so much, why they're trying to mate with us, why they're trying to hold us back, why they're trying to lock us up, why they're trying to kill us and all this other crazy stuff, because we grow like weeds. They can't stop us. And now Nemesis is here and nature's here to take care of the rest. All you have to do is be in direct alignment with nature.
Right.
And you're going to be all right throughout this whole thing. The great solar flash and all. All you have to do, and I'm telling you all this right now, all you have to do is connect to nature, because nature cleans, nature heals, nature teaches. All you have to do is connect and stay on that path, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. Because indigenous people, because of who we are, do you know that there's certain indigenous tribes, which I'm not going to name, that have access to stargates and portals where they travel back and forth to different galaxies and then come back? When that stuff was going down, when they were trying to cause harm to those people over there, by trying to force that thing on them, that thing, oh, they got a visitation. They got a visitation. Something showed up. They got a visitation. And let them know, what you're not going to do is you're not going to do that. You're not going to move against the free will, and you're not going to wipe out this tribe. That's what you're not going to do. So they got the response they were looking for. Now, all of a sudden, you start hearing about more and more about how they're getting their so-called reparations, or all this indigenous money that's supposed to come to them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm hearing it's actually more than what they're putting out to the public. So there's a lot of things that are happening on a positive level. I would say, and I know this is going to sound crazy for a lot of people, but you got to understand, you only see 20% of the shit that's going on. You don't see the other 80%. I would say that there's a lot of positive. I would say there's more positive things going on than there is negative right now. There's been a lot of cleanup that's been taking place by our cosmic first wing ancient ancestors that we're still connected to this day.
Excellent.
Because we cry out, they're going to respond. They're going to respond.
Excellent. Excellent. Listen, it's been such a pleasure. I mean, you know how you talk to somebody and you leave feeling on a high vibe. Like I feel high, like I just smoked some weed or something after having this conversation with you, and that's a good thing. Like I feel high and elevated. So I know the people in the chat also. I want to take 2 questions from the people before we get out of here. You mind? Okay. All right, family. We just passed the hour mark. I want to thank Isis Wisdom. This has been a magnificent show. Magnificent. So I know y'all enjoyed it. I'm gonna take 2 questions from the chat. Before I do, Isis, do you have I'm gonna share my Cash App with the people if they want to support. Do you have a Cash App you want me to share with the people or anything?
Shop Isis Wisdom.
$ shop
Isis Wisdom.
All right. Let me put Cash App here. Cash. Give me 1 second, y'all. I'm typing slow.
And you guys can also check out my website, shopisiswisdom.com, and check out and see what I'm on. Check it out.
D family. So yeah, if you would like to show support, you can hit up Isis Wisdom Cash App shop, Isis Wisdom. You can also hit mine on Black Magic 363. Once again, I want to thank. We got about 3,000 people in here right now. I want to thank everybody for tuning in on this. What's today? Friday, on this Friday night.
No, it's crazy. It's a Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday, you know, and they're here with us. So thank you to everybody who's tuning in. I'm gonna take 2 questions from y'all. Let me see give me some good questions. All right. Give me some good questions. Let me see what y'all talking about. Okay, so somebody always says, why would a god reincarnate but never know?
It's a contract. When you guys come to Kai, any being that comes to Kai, whether it's through karma or doing a soul contract, and most of your guys are doing soul contracts when they come here to assist. One of the things that comes out is that they literally tell you this at the beginning of the contract. They tell you this point blank before you actually sign this damn thing. They tell you, they go over everything. They go over the experiences that you're going to go through so you can see it for yourself. They tell you straight up that you're not going to have any memories. That means that you're going to have to find your way through it. I don't know why they did this and why they signed a contract, but I think it's best. What I learned in this space, especially when I'm helping people, I tend to guide them to their own power. I don't tell them the answers. A teacher knows that you guide. So I feel like in this particular case that if you trust in your higher self and you're tapped in spiritually, then you get access to knowing these things about yourself. You know, you got to put the work in. Nothing's ever going to be handed to you. You will put the work in. So the contract is the reason why they don't remember who they are until they come across somebody that knows who they are and then connects them and helps them get on a path where they can remember who they are.
Okay. Next question. What specifically are key codes and how to tap in?
Okay. I want you guys to think of it like they showed the movie The Matrix. Mm-hmm. You remember the codes that you saw flying, going down the thing on the screen? Okay, that is really what that code actually looks like. That's what that actually looks like. Okay. When you're dealing with source code, it's all white. Instead of green, it's all white, pure white. And you're dealing with different codes, all the codes and stuff like that come down. So there's specific codes that are placed inside your body. Because I need you guys to remember this. You are operating on a holographic universe. I need you guys to remember this. Please don't forget this. You're operating under a very highly intelligent quantum physics computer. Mm. This needs to be understood. So you are projecting your consciousness here onto Kai through this quantum physics computer. So everything is made up in code. And let me just say this, for those of you who don't know, the Orishas were the ones who created the solar system. Those are your architects right there. Mm. And they even talk about that in the Odus. But they're the ones who actually created the whole entire solar system. They are very advanced. A lot of people want to put them in a category. You can't put the Orisha in a category. That's not happening. But they are creator gods. And they're way more vast than what we give them credit for. And they are the gods of the indigenous people, period. Whether you call them Orisha or whether you call them a different name, whatever you want to call them, it's still the Orisha. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Somebody want to know about, and I guess we'll end with this. Where is it at? They want to know, do you do readings? So you could tell the people about all the services you offer and how they could contact you.
Okay. The only 2 readings that I do on that site are the cosmic readings and the E5 readings. I'm actually thinking about doing the investigation into the ancient ancestral investigation. I'm still playing with it to determine. I haven't made up my mind whether or not I want to offer that service yet. But those are the only 2 readings I offer on that site. But I also have my daughter does the ancestral readings, and she's so dope. And she's a medium, and she will talk to your ancestors. She's really dope. I let her do that. And also, I have angelic readings where I have a fully embodied gentleman that does readings, and he's a fully embodied angelic. And what he'll do is he'll tap into your court and give you the information that your angels have for you. So we have that as well. It's more of an interactive experience when you come get readings for us. It's very powerful. I would say the cosmic readings is one of my biggest sellers right now because people want to know who they are. They want to know who they are. They want to know who their star family is. They want to know. You know what I'm saying? So that's there. And then also the program, the Quantum Karmic Cleanse is there, which is basically an initiation to self. A very powerful program that will continue to keep going. Whether you're rocking with me or not, you'll still be in the program. That's the way it was designed, because it's designed to help you elevate to get back to source. But in order for you to get back to source, you got to get to the 999th dimension. We're only on the 3rd. We got some time. We got work to do. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, check it out. You'll see I got quantum healing services for those of you that have some issues going on where you need some healing done and things of that nature. Come check us out. And there's some new programs I'm actually going to be putting up on the site when I return back from Africa. That's going to be my next trip, as I'm going to Africa.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I'll be posting, I'll be taking pictures, and hey guys, and let me tell you all this. Let me tell you the downloads I got off of that.
What country are you visiting in Africa?
I'm going to Nigeria. I'm going home to see my family.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the pics.
Oh man,
I can't wait to see
I love being over there in Nigeria. It's cool. I'm going to be with the tribe, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Indeed. Well, thanks once again for coming on the show. Definitely appreciate this live. Thank you once again to everybody who's tuned in. And I look forward to talking to you soon, Isis Wisdom, maybe next month or something like that. But I got to keep you coming on here because the people need this energy right here.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right. Peace, family. We out here. Peace.
Peace.